The good news is really that there aren't a lot of position battles at camp, Jeff, because that's good because that means so many players are established and set. It's bad news only for one reason. We don't have a lot to talk about, but we do actually, because there's that whole bullpen thing, which we've covered a lot on the main show. But let's talk about the outfield, and in particular, Jeff, center field.
Yeah,
that is the greatest battle. A wild card, as we've mentioned on the Daily Show, has entered the mix in Kevin Pillar.
right.
And of course, you have superstar in the making Evan Carter and superstar in the making Leody Taveras in competition with Kevin. 3 spots, 3 guys, 1 spot. What are they going to do?
That's a good question, John. And you're right, 3 guys, but is either one of them or either of the 3 an everyday player? I think that's kind of what they're trying to sort out now, because it's the whole bugaboo with Taveras and Carter not being able to hit left-handers. So that's why Kevin Pillar, a right-handed hitter, is in camp, because he can still hit the lefties. And this is a win now team. You don't want to give a pitcher a break. You want 1 through 9 clicking. And they feel like they've addressed things throughout the offseason to do that. And so, you would hope it would have sorted itself out and somebody would have emerged by now, but really nobody has. Honestly, the best outfielder has been Alejandro Osuna. He's been the best one. Now, he doesn't play center field a lot, but he probably could. But you go to left field. All right, Wyatt Langford was slowed by injury, but gosh, the way he's hit the ball since he's come back, that one's settled. You go over to right field. Adolis Garcia, new swing, little oblique thing too. Hit the first home run Thursday. Looks like he's gonna be in the lineup. Regardless, he makes $9.25 million. He's gonna be in the lineup. So then you go to the center fielder. The Rangers want it to be Evan Carter. They want this young guy who was their second-round pick in 2020, who's the darling of the postseason, and who showed what he could do, what his potential is. He can hit the long ball. He can run. He can play great defense. They want that. Get on base. Good strike zone judgment. They want that. Leody, who was called up in 20, probably way before he needed to be here because of COVID, struggled in 21, struggled in 22, was really a nice player in 23, went back last year. So he kind of has a track record now. Guys bloom at their own rate, but he needs to get going. And I don't know if they're going to give him the chance. And then Pillar, who's the veteran, who's about to retire, awesome defensive player, got his thumb worked on in the offseason that really skewed his numbers in the second half last year. He's going to be he'd be a handy player to have. The question is, though, what is your roster? What do you want to do with your roster? Do you want a 5th infielder? Because Josh Smith can play the outfield. So can Ezekiel Duran. Do you really need that extra guy? Well, a lot of it, I think, depends on what Evan Carter and Leody Taveras do here these last 2 weeks. And if the Rangers feel good about that, if they think Evan Carter's had enough at-bats, I think they're going to give him some leash here, at least early on. But Leody's got so much talent, and they just keep waiting for it to come to the surface and consistently. I guess to what you said, we don't have a lot to talk about, but we're talking about one of the most important spots on the diamond.
No doubt about it.
And so that is a concern. But again, regular season, 13 days from today, someone's going to be there. Somebody's going to be in center field.
Sure.
But it may end up being that the Rangers have 5 outfielders and only the one extra infielder, Josh Smith, when opening day comes around.
Yeah, and that would be an interesting decision to make then for Bruce Bochy too, because again, at that point, you feel like Kevin Pillar would take all the at-bats, right? Anytime that there's a lefty in there, Kevin Pillar would be in there. And so that means that the 2 other guys who need to hit against lefties in order to develop their ability against lefties would only sort of play against right-handed pitching.
Yeah.
So how does that help either of them in any way?
Well, I don't know that it does. You let's say, the Red Sox may start a left-hander on opening day.
Sure.
Is Kevin Pillar going to be your opening day center fielder?
Right.
So That's one way to look at it. But then, they come back with a right-hander, let's say, and the Rangers put a hurting on the starter, and the first guy out of the bullpen in the fourth inning is a left-hander. Well, you're not going to pinch hit for Taveras or Carter at that point. You're going to let them go. That's how they're going to see the left-handers. But the problem is, what if the game becomes tight and a left-hander reliever's in the game at the end? Do you want Evan Carter batting with 2 on and 2 out, the winning run at second base, or do you want a pinch hitter for him?
You probably want a pinch hitter.
It's a conundrum. I mean, spring training is really not even a great place for these guys to get their at-bats against lefties because pitchers just aren't necessarily good right now, and the Rangers do have lefties in the farm system. They could send these guys to a minor league game on the backfield and say, like, all right, we're only pitching left-handers in this game. You guys get as many bats as it takes. Just start seeing pitches, and whatever left-handers are left in this spring in the A games, these guys need to be in the lineup. You got to get it straightened out. But I don't know that you can do that in 2 weeks. So
no,
I don't know. This one's got me stumped.
It does me too. But it seems like the best thing to do in order to develop really both of these players, that is Leody, who's still young, and Evan, who's extremely young, is to send one of them to the minors to start the season, right? And to me, the choice there would be Evan Carter. Now, are you willing to admit as an organization, we were, I don't know if wrong is even the right word, but he's just not quite there yet. He had a great 2 months in the fall of 23.
Yeah.
But, he's had very little major league time.
Right.
And so let him develop. Let him get better at that level.
Well, it goes back to, he missed 5 months last year. He had 145 at-bats, 144 at-bats, and you figure that at least half of them, maybe more, he wasn't 100%. His body wasn't allowing him to do what he needed to do because of the back injury. It's not like he's 27 and has 5 full seasons under his belt, can just hop back in. He hasn't seen big league pitching enough. Bruce Bochy feels that way. And, and maybe that's old school thinking. I don't know, but there's nothing wrong with the old school.
No, no.
You still learn a lot and get a lot of answers right. So it might be, and I would agree in that scenario. You send the guy down who you think has the higher upside, and the guy who's not making $4.8 million this year, and you let him go to AAA, get comfortable, get his body working again, and then when he's ready, then maybe it's his job, and you have a decision to make between Pilar and Taveras.
So we just decided. There you go. Pretty easy, although not. It's very difficult, and that's why we're sitting here talking about it, and they are there deciding about it. But it'll be interesting to watch from now until opening day and obviously beyond. We're here every day with a Rangers podcast. It's called the DLLS Rangers Podcast. Check us out at 1 o'clock every day during the season. And on Getaway Day, the last game of every series, we do a pre- and post-game show. So join us on DLLS with the Rangers Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.